I recently made a post on Twitter and asked people to respectfully explain to me why they did not like Xenoblade 2. I got many answers, among the character designs, to combat gameplay, to lack of certain quality of life changes, and I'm sure there are reasonable arguments to be made for and against each one of these. I'm not going into any of those topics today because I like being happy. Maybe one day. One of the main points that I saw was really not disagreed with. It seems an overwhelming majority of people do not like the Blade Resonance system. Also called Blade Gacha due to its similarities with free-to-play mobile game pulls. If you've ever played Genshin Impact, just replace the 4 and 5 stars with rare blades and everything else with commons. This mechanic is extremely disliked. The idea of these really cool blades being locked behind RNG bothers a lot of people. I personally find the idea to be very cool. It gives the game a unique type of replayability. Each driver is going to have a vastly different blade setup each time. I also think people sleep on common blades a lot, because some of them are actually very good and have unique skills that sometimes make them even better than certain rare blades. They do look stupid though. Though in future games, if the blade system did return, I would much rather get new ones through quests and story progression only. But we're not here to talk about all that. In order to tolerate a mechanic you don't like in a game, I find that learning more about it can help. It gives you a new perspective and allows you to game that system to your advantage. And that's what we're going to do today. I'm going to go over every single thing you need to know about Xenoblade Gacha. Let's talk about math. Math is a very important part of the gacha system. Every time you use a core crystal in Xenoblade 2, there is a lot of math happening behind the scenes. In fact, this exact equation plays out. What the heck is going on here? Well, this equation determines how likely you are to get any rare blade. It looks like a lot of mumbo jumbo, but if we look closer, it's actually not too bad. This equation generates a list of 3 blades, and any one of them could be common or rare. These are the figures that flash above your character when opening a core, the third of which is the blade you get. Let's figure out how this works. Let's start with the easiest part, luck. Luck is an interesting stat. Since crit percent is a stat on its own, luck has a very different use in this game than you'll normally find in an RPG. Luck increases your chance to inflict status ailments and increases your resistance to them. It also increases your chances to pull a rare blade. So before you awaken anything, I would highly advise that you get your luck stat as close to 999 as possible on the driver you want to open core crystals with. Now that that's out of the way, next is the idea multiplier. These stats are way more complicated than luck. You might recognize this chart though. It appears when you go to awaken a blade as well as on a driver setup screen. This is the thought cloud. The corners on the diamond represent how high your level is for each idea stat. There are 4 of them, and each one corresponds to 2 elements. Bravery for fire and water, truth for wind and ice, compassion for earth and thunder, and justice for light and dark. The levels of these stats increase when you defeat enough enemies. A minor enemy gives 1 idea experience, a unique monster gives 3, and a boss gives 6. The point yields can be increased by having certain shop deeds though. The way these stats increase also change depending on who the driver is. For instance, let's say Zeke defeats a boss. He gets 6 idea points to play with. In order for the game to determine where the points go, a bit of chance is involved. Each idea stat has a percentage chance to gain any number of the points. Zeke has 20% for bravery, 20% for truth, 40% compassion, and 20% justice. Zeke's idea stats have a clear compassion leaning, so when points are distributed, you're more likely to have them go into compassion than the others. Eventually, when you get enough points in an idea stat, it levels up. The maximum level for each idea stat is 10. The idea stats do a few things. 1. Each level of a stat increases the damage you deal for the corresponding elements by 5%. So, if your bravery is level 4, your fire and water damage is now increased by 20%. The next thing that it does is increases the chance of pulling a blade of any kind with the corresponding elements. Since Zeke leans to compassion, he has a much higher chance of getting thunder and earth blades. But if Zeke's compassion level happens to be tied with another idea stat like truth, The game will pick either one at random. When using a booster on an idea stat, that stat will override the others in calculation regardless of level. You can also use up to 5 boosters to temporarily make a stat level 15 if you're able to. Lastly, the idea multiplier uses the highest leveled idea stat in the equation, which drastically increases the chances of a rare blade. Idea stats are a little complicated, but I hope I explained it in a way everyone can understand. Next is the core rarity, and compared to idea stats, this is honestly very easy. Common, rare, and legendary core crystals each have multipliers associated with them. Common cores have a 1.0 multiplier, which actually changes nothing, but I guess it's better than a 0.5 multiplier or something. Rare cores have a 1.5, and legendary cores have a whopping 3.0 multiplier. This is the main reason you usually get rare blades from legendary cores. What also helps is that when using a rare or legendary core crystal, if any rare blades are generated on that list of 3 that I talked about earlier, common blades will be removed and only rare blades will be considered for that awakening. The final part of this equation is base blade probability. This chart looks very intimidating, but I can assure you it isn't. To simplify the chart off the bat, I'm going to explain what the groups are. When a new game is started, your save file is randomly filtered into a hidden group. Now, what this group function does is determines the unique base probability of awakening each and every rare blade in the game. The way to figure out what group you're in requires a couple of legendary core crystals. Normally, in any type of free-to-play system, there's something called a pity timer that eventually gives you something very rare after a certain amount of pulls. A recent and very simple example is in Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel. In this game, when opening 10 packs at once, if you don't get an ultra rare card, you're guaranteed at least one in the next 10 packs you open. There's a similar mechanic in Xenoblade 2. In order to get a pity blade, you'll need to open up core crystals to rack up points on an invisible counter to reach 100, and then you'll be awarded with a free rare blade for your troubles. You can do this 3 times in a single save file. Common cores give 5 points, rares give 25, and legendaries give 50. You can't summon any rare blades before reaching 100 points, or else the counter just resets to 0. Each group has its own unique set of 3 pity grades. Pity grades? Each group has its own unique set of 3 pity blades, so if you just use 2 legendary core crystals, you can begin to figure out what group your save file is, which I would say if there wasn't a weird glitch. For some reason, the pity blades for Group 1 were copied into Group 2. This caused Group 2's blades to move into Group 3, and so on and so forth. So, Group 5's normal pity blades are not pity blades. Because of this, when checking what pity blades you could have, if you get Godfrey, Agate, or Boreas, you can't be 100% certain what group you're in. You can end up sort of determining it by seeing what other blades you have and cross-referencing those with the rarities. For simplicity's sake, let's say we know what group we're in, and let's say it's Group 3. And let's also say that we want Adenine because she's cool and everyone sleeps on her design. All we do is check her base probability for Group 3 and drop that into the equation. These base probabilities can range anywhere from KOS-MOS's infamous 0.1% to Group 1 Perun's 2.44%. A misconception I want to clear up here is that it does not matter what blades you have when attempting to awaken another. It does not matter if you've pulled 200 common blades and every rare blade other than KOS-MOS. Her chances of being pulled will not increase, even though it may feel like they should. What does increase or decrease is the chance of getting any rare blades. Naturally, if you've awakened 0 rare blades, you're more likely to get 1 than if you'd awaken every blade other than KOS-MOS. One final thing, if for some reason you release a rare blade from a special core crystal, like Shiba for instance, and want to awaken them again from a normal core crystal, their base probability is 1, which is cool, but why are you releasing rare blades? Now that we have all the information we need, we can actually get around to solving this equation. Let's use our prior examples and say we're using Zeke to try and awaken Adenine with a legendary core crystal. So, we load him up with luck increasing items and increase his truth to 15 with boosters. Now, we just need to follow the order of operations that got shoved down our throats in grade school. PEMDAS. In order to do this max function, we just have to figure out which number is the highest on either side of the comma and then discard the other. And yeah, that probability is still extremely small because they're, rare blades. But 6.8% isn't that low compared to what it could be. Now, whenever we want to awaken a blade, doing all this math, not too fun. Luckily, over on Reddit, user JAOV00 has made an extremely detailed calculator through Google Sheets that does all the math for us. This calculator also has a handy page that helps you determine what group your save file is, although it doesn't seem like they were aware of the pity glitch, so just take that into consideration whenever using this table. Over at the calculator, if we put in the specifications we used, we get the same answer. I mean, I was off by 0.002, but who cares? I'll put the link to the Reddit post in the description for you all. Enel also has a handy calculator in his server for those of you active on Discord. So now that you understand all that you need to know about rare blades, go forth and grind legendary core crystals. Spend countless hours attempting to get KOS-MOS. Your pain and suffering may now be lessened because you know the exact mechanics and equation behind the futility of your efforts. And if you were wondering, the highest possible chance you have to awaken KOS-MOS is 0.714%, give or take 0.001. It's very small. So yeah, that is everything you need to know about the math behind core crystals. A little redundant, but if this video helps one player with their polls, my mission has been completed. If you liked the video, please subscribe for more. Like I said before, I appreciate the gacha mechanic. I think it's pretty cool overall, but I definitely hope it's absent from Xenoblade 3. I hope they replace it with another complex system that I can talk at length about. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!